so much for being here, and happy almost International Women's Day. My name is Ritu Sharma, and I'm the co-founder and president of Women Thrive Worldwide. And we're delighted to host this breakfast with UNIFEM and with the wonderful sponsorship of Senator Mary Landrieu's office, as well as our honorary co-chairs. This breakfast actually came about, the idea for it came about a year ago when I ran into the senator at the State Department's last Women of Courage award ceremony. And we started chatting, and she said, well, how come there's nothing on the Hill? We've got to do something for International Women's Day on the Hill. And I said, that's a brilliant idea. And we said, let's do it together. Let's make it big. Let's make it meaningful. Let's make it have an impact. And so I'm very grateful to her for keeping her word and being so generous in helping us to host this event. I also would be remiss if I didn't recognize and thank the truly amazing team at Women Thrive Worldwide for all their hard work in pulling this together so elegantly and so smoothly. So please join me in a round of applause. So you might expect me to tell you a story about some amazing woman who did things with a microloan, or a woman who escaped a situation of violence to save her family. But I'm not going to do that. I want to start by telling you a story about a man. A couple of years ago, I went to Sri Lanka to see what women's organizations had been doing to help the tsunami-affected areas and the tsunami-affected women. That year, Congress was very generous and actually did a $10 million set-aside program for women's economic opportunity. And we were there to look at the success of those programs. There was a wonderful man named Ramakrishnan, who was our translator for the 3 days. And as he translated all of these conversations between us and women's organizations, after about 3 days, he finally said to me, why do we have all this focus on women? I sort of looked at him and I got to find out. So I started to explain, well, women are a good investment, and they spend the money well, and they put it in their families, and on and on and on. And when I finally finished saying that, he just sort of looked at me and he said, you don't think we can help? And I think we need to begin to think about women and men working together. We need to begin thinking about gender and not just women. Whether we do these programs in Afghanistan or Haiti, where we focus on women, we want to have affirmative action. Women have been left out and set aside and overlooked by so many gender-neutral programs that didn't intentionally exclude women, but sometimes unintentionally had that negative impact. But we need now to move beyond the special projects for women, the special initiatives and the special funds. We need to bring women from the very special periphery to the center of everything that our government is doing and moving into the world. The fact is that it is the right thing to do, but it also is far more effective. It makes our development efforts meaningful, they're grounded in realities, and they're sustainable because they build long-term partnerships between men and women. They address the community as a whole. Last year, we released a survey of more than 100 women's organizations from around the world. And we've been in this debate on board assistance reform here in Washington for a while now, and thinking through the structure, the purpose, the agenda, and we felt it was important to ask women's organizations around the world if they had if they had any ideas how they would like to see U.S. assistance reform. And we got an earful about that. But one of the most important things that they said is that integrate gender, not just women. When you're doing a women's project, work with our men to explain the benefits to them. When you're doing a project for girls, reach out to the boys as well. It will be much more effective, and their view is that they very much want us to take a gendered community approach to development. So if you remember nothing else from this morning, and I think what you'll hear from Soraya and Kathy will be very memorable, just remember that women and gender are not the same thing. They're both important, they're both vital, but this is the moment. This is the moment where we can really do development right. Thank you. And now I have the wonderful honor and pleasure of introducing someone who came from our community, who spent her entire life dedicated to development, to microloans, to women's health issues. Maria Otero is the Undersecretary of State for Democracy and Global Affairs. She is